you know, everyone's really great at making Star Wars.
Making Star Wars.
There we go. All right, we got the opening. I'm trying to buy Rob a little bit of time today. I was bad at communication, so it is what it is. How's everybody doing? Yeah, today is a little bit about speeder bikes. A little bit. It's basically a skeleton crew show, as far as I know. But everybody could hear me okay. Just kind of ran in here and got everything set up today. So, but how's the chat doing? Yeah, today we're just talking about some skeleton crew like tidbits that I've had sitting around for I don't know a year now, and with as far as that's getting pushed, I'm starting to feel like I'm gonna forget this stuff if we don't get it out. That's just where we're at when you really get down to it. I mean, it was supposed to come out in November this year. Now it's been pushed into sometime after Halloween, Thanksgiving to Christmas time next year. Don't know like the firm date. You'd have to look at Bespin Bulletin's like story on that to really whittle it down. I'm in a place where it's like if I think about it all too much, it just gets frustrating. And but it's not because the show sucks or the show's broken. I saw some people on Reddit saying, "Oh, Making Star Wars has it out for this show." That's a very, very inaccurate way of looking at this. I mean, I didn't come out and talk about the production issues during the show because I have it out for the show. I did because the crew were the ones that were like, "Oh, like this sucks. Everything's bad. Everything is going terrible. They're working us like dogs." And so, with that in mind, a lot of the information that I had on Skeleton Crew back then decided to hold because we didn't know what they would do during the strikes, if they would make it seem like the leaks were retaliatory to the strikers and where it was going. And so I'm not making it sound like we're sitting here on a mountain of Skeleton Crew, the whole Skeleton Crew story or something like that. I do not mean to imply that, just to be clear. But no, I don't have it out for the show. And somebody, I guess, just while I wait for Rob, I'll just clear it up for a second. Somebody on Reddit's like, "Oh, he has it out for the show, and he's saying that they don't know what to do with it, and they're like changing it and stuff." And it's like, no, man, that's not what I ever said on the show. On the show, this show, I said Skeleton Crew had bad production problems. Doesn't mean it's good or it's bad. In fact, some of the stuff you guys like to boast had the worst production problems. It's an irrelevant, it's a line in the sand that doesn't need to be drawn. It doesn't make sense that way. But what did happen was a strike happened. Disney had to go and move around their whole schedule. Andor isn't finished. Mandalorian never got to film. Now Disney has to ask itself, what do we do? Well, Acolyte's our main show. Acolyte is our flagship show for Star Wars. And then we got Skeleton Crew. That one's done. It's in the bag. Well, what do we do with it? Do we release it, do we release it today? No. Why not? Well, because we don't have enough content for the next 2 years if we do. So where to put Skeleton Crew has been the issue the whole time. I'm not saying it was the hardest issue in the world either. Just the fact that I have to bring it up again makes it seem like it's bigger than it is. But the fact of the matter is, your core of the year of 2024 show is going to be Acolyte, and then we have this Mandalorian adjacent series that's sort of meant to be, I don't know if it's meant to have multiple seasons or not. I kind of think so, but let's just call it like adjacent to the main Mando story, and what do you do with it? Well, you push it to November, unfortunately, because that's how you have content for the whole year. It has nothing to do with the quality of the show. This show could suck. This show could be the worst Star Wars show ever made. What I'm saying has nothing to do with that. It could be the best Star Wars show ever made as well. And what I'm saying also has nothing to do with that. All of this stuff has to do with what has the headache been that they have been dealing with. Hello, Dr. Rob, Dr.
Hey,
Robert.
Jason, I woke up laughing today. You know that?
Why?
Woke up
Why? Just a happy
Rebo
guy?
Rebo McIntyre.
Let's give him something to talk about. Is that Reba
My
McIntyre?
wife was listening to that. You know, she had the music on while she was, and that came on. I was like, what serendipitous. And I just woke up to this picture of a little Rebo
with like the red mullet kind of thing going on,
yeah,
and all that.
Yeah.
I did a little thing on Friday, but I got tired. And I didn't do a show on Friday. I did Santa's show, and you know that Star Wars Santa. You know what he does to you. You know how he just keeps going on about Plagueis and won't let you stop, and the flat Earth, and no, I'm kidding. I do a show with Santa on Fridays usually. So subscribe to Star Wars Santa and check it out on Friday. And if I can't make it, sometimes Rob is there.
Yeah, sometimes I show up and Santa regrets ever giving me that link. You know, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch that look on his face, like
right.
Santa. To be fair, every mall Santa I ever encountered gave me that same look as a kid. So
that's fair. And good morning, Meg. Meg says, it's serious when Jason's got a space background. Yeah, that's when we're doing the cult, But we have a subreddit for our little cult over here, and it's r/Star Wars News, and I've been posting some stuff over to there, and because why not? Let's spread it around. And let's make our own communities. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm not a Discord guy. I've tried the Discord. It's not for me. I DM people. You know what I mean? Like I talk to people like in private on Discord. I use it as a messenger, but it doesn't end up being like a communal thing for me. It's too isolated. So
I warned you.
I warned you
when you started that Discord up. You're never gonna stick with it.
Well, I started the Discord for all of our friends who wanted one. I was like, hey, yeah, you guys want to talk in there? Go ahead, but by all means. But the reality situation is, I end up just talking in Big or in Star Wars Santa's and not my own. So
I spend more time in Fortnite now talking about Star Wars than Discord. So
yeah. Well, as an incel Discord moderator, I've been finding that I
careful.
We have this little Reddit.
Careful
here.
with your sarcasm. People will use that against you.
I know. I don't care anymore. The internet's broken me. Like it's just too fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like you could bend over backwards for these idiots, and yet you haven't bent over backward enough, no matter what it is. Just the amount of people with just rocks in their head for brains, and on a side note, a story came out on Friday. I know Bespin covered it. I guess we could cover it on Bespin's. We'll get to it on Bespin's. We'll do the Bespin bulletin article third. Making Star Wars exclusive for r/Star Wars News, the Hero Skeleton Crew's name, and like I said, all of this stuff was held back initially because of the strike. We didn't want it to mess with it in any way. We didn't want it to be seen like it was retaliatory. Everybody knows I've been getting leaks from all of these shows and all of these productions for about 10 years now. We're coming up on the 10-year mark of that. But
first story, here's the new character's name in the Max Rebo show. Second, will the people who made Rex Rebo have a home?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, and that's I was making this joke on Santa's show, but I'm like, yeah, whenever you're evaluating Bob Iger's moral compass and how cutting he'll be, remember he was down to let these writers lose their homes, their families to become homeless, to lose their apartments, so he can flex for a decade about how anti-union he was as a CEO. That's. Yeah, and I'm not in SAG. I'm not in the Writers Guild. So when they made that deal, I wasn't like, oh, thank you, Daddy Iger. I'm back to work. I don't give a fuck. Like I saw what he did. We all know what he did. He's a fucking asshole. So, and all rich people are fucking assholes of that magnitude, you know? I'm not talking about the guy who, you know, opened a grocery store and made it on his own or her own, you know, kind of way or whatever. Yeah, those people are probably assholes too, but not in the same way that you know, $27 million bonus assholes are. It's a whole different
Santa
breed
count
asshole.
as a toy shop? What do we put in Santa under? You know, because
Sweatshop, honestly.
Yeah, sweatshop.
I know the joke's played out, but it's not a joke anymore, is it? All right. So here's the
KBs.
But everyone subscribe to r/Star Wars News and feel free to talk in there. I mean, if you guys want to talk in there, I'll engage. I'm down for to have the Star Wars random thoughts in there, you know, and that kind of stuff. And my old buddy Max from the Star Wars Post set it up for us like a long time ago for himself, and then gave it to me and for us. And we can you know, it has rules on there. They're not set in stone. I want it to be a pretty lax place until it matters. The number one rule is just don't be an asshole just because you're on the internet.
Hey,
that's pretty much
and
the rule.
If you want a completely rob-free experience, go there too.
Yeah, go there too. Hey, give him time. He said that about Fortnite. 2 years later, here we are.
No, I tried to be it. I was like, I hate this shit. I got time for this.
Yeah. But no, I like mixing it up and talking about Star Wars though, so I don't mind, you know. But like I said, like my whole thing with that place is just be cool, you know. But so anyways, here's the article, the little tidbits I wrote. I don't have to do the 300-word thing because I'm doing it on there, which is nice. Star Wars Skeleton Crew is an ensemble cast, much like Goonies and E.T. However, if there was an Elliot from E.T. or Mikey from Goonies, it would be a character named Wim, who I think is played by Ravi Cabot Conyers from Disney's Encanto. He seems to be the character that craves adventure and excitement and leads the bunch. So this guy's the their like leader. If there was a captain of the kids, it would be him. I hope that makes sense. I didn't go into a lot in the article, but you have in the 80s you had these movies that were made by Amblin, which was Steven Spielberg's company, and I'm also going to use the word adjacent again, Amblin adjacent films. So you have like your E.T., you have your Goonies, you have your Monster Squad, you have your Explorers. Any others I'm missing, Rob, you could think of top of your head?
You got Explorers, Monster Squad.
Yeah. So,
technically Mac and Me, but we don't talk about that.
Technically Mac and Me.
In a way, Sandlot doesn't have monsters, but
too late.
Kind of,
too late.
Does a dog count?
That's like 90s. It's like
does Stand By Me count?
It's pretty fucking not really,
but
yes.
Because Stranger Things has a bit of that seriousness.
Yeah.
So I feel.
Yeah. So
I think Stand By Me counts. And
okay.
And the Lost Boys.
Okay.
I count the Lost Boys.
You count the Lost Boys? Okay. Do they? Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically, what you have are children living in an adult world. The adult world is scary. The kids are not insulated in that adult world, and they're the ones who have to contend with it and overcome it. And throughout the process of that story, usually they don't grow up, but they do mature. But they keep that essence about themselves, you know, their kid-like, you know, nature. And when you were a kid in the 80s, specifically watching those movies, they didn't talk down to you. They were adventures for you. It's before all of that Barney style parenting showed up. It was more
no. I'll tell you what happened. It's not Barney. It's
okay.
Baby on Board.
Okay. Yeah.
When the
fuck
baby on board. When the Baby on Board signs start to appear in station wagons, is when everything goes downhill.
Right.
Right. You know.
Yeah. And to also contextualize it, before Baby on Board, we were standing up in the front seats without seatbelts on. We were just, it was just, you know what? When God pulls your card, God pulls your card. You know, that was like,
my favorite, Jason, my favorite was the station wagon that everyone was seatbelted, but the back seat, it was free to not be seatbelted. You could just sit in the back.
Yeah.
Right. Facing.
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't need a seatbelt, but we somehow did the math on that and thought it was okay.
They're like, you know what? Pintos are blowing up when they get in the back. Yeah. If this one doesn't blow up, you're fine. But, yeah. So anyways, though, that's why that generation of films like really connected with the old guys on this podcast and with the adults of the time, and why
And
some
Stranger
kids
Things connects.
still like them. And then
they still like.
Yeah, Stranger Things went and took that idea, and also like the VHS horror genre that was neglected post Scream. I'd say Scream killed that probably. And then we just moved into like, like our straight slashers and Saw kind of films after that. Yeah, Stranger Things went back and it's like, no, that genre of horror was great. And then that's why we enjoy Stranger Things so much. And they do a good job with it, obviously.
The threat of real violence is the key here, though, Jason. Like,
yeah,
when there is no threat of real violence and it's just plucky kids having adventures, that's when you're in the Mac and Me territory. You're like Little Monsters. Remember that one with Fred Savage?
Yeah, in Goonies, like Mama Fratelli pulls out a switchblade and is like threatening to cut out Chunk's tongue, and you're like, holy shit! Like that's my first.
Flight of the Navigator does not count because it's one kid and there's no real threat of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand by it. I rewatched that the other day. That movie needed to take place before Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by that. It should have took place at the bicentennial in 1976 because it makes no sense that kid gets on a spaceship and never once mentions the Millennium Falcon or Lightspeed or anything else.
The only thing I would say is in that year, the years that it came out, Star Wars was looked at like, oh, it's dead. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm with
it. Is irrelevant. That's what a kid who had just seen Star Wars would have acted like if he had seen it 1 year after. Like,
Yeah. But yeah. I would give who said it? Will, who was asking? Yeah, Will. I would say I would also use the word again, Amblin adjacent, but definitely not an Amblin one because it's not an ensemble cast. It's really just the one kid, like Rob was saying, and
to be honest,
it's
Pee Wee Herman does a lot of heavy lifting.
There's kind of well, like when you watch Peanuts, all of the children talk to each other, and they have their own community. They make their own art. They run their own little society, and when the adults talk, it's quack 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 kind of shit. It doesn't matter what they say, and it's not exactly like a connection to Amblin on purpose, but I would say like in some way it kind of does inform like the
I would say especially the original Peanuts comic strip.
Yeah,
very, very much in that vein.
We're
all familiar with the MetLife Peanuts,
right?
But that original '60s cartoon is more in line with the original comic, and that is proto Amblin by far.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It I think that definitely influences like how we got there. Anyways, during the article on r/Star Wars News, I write, I heard all of this back during production. I said there's a 1% chance they mixed up the name with another character, but I'm pretty sure that I am correct. And one little detail, Bespin Bulletin released a great scoop this week about Neil. Neil is the Max Rebo kid. His mother is Rebo McIntyre, and the best bud of Wim. I know they filmed the scene with the two sneaking out at night with flashlights, not lightsabers, real flashlights shot like Spielberg's E.T. against the foggy night to get the ship in the forest. You can see some of that in the leaked trailer if you are fortunate enough to see that. While Wim has a great Brian May hair and is ready to join Queen, Neil actually has hair that is parted perfectly to the side, much like the way Eric Cartman's hair is parted when he's playing the good boy to manipulate his mother in South Park. While Wim fits the hero mold, Neil is hilarious in his Oshkosh Bagosh overalls and straight-laced haircut. And I like the juxtaposition. So that is so Wim is who we could start probably referring to as the leader of the Skeleton Crew kids. Okay.
This is the most I've ever spent looking at a Reddit page. So congratulations, Jason. Like, no, one kid doesn't count.
Yeah, Cloak Encounter once again.
Dagger.
Lord of the Flies. So Lord of the Flies. See, like,
there's no adults though.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies is
difference.
Yeah,
like they're not bucking authority. They have a lack of supervision, so that's sort of a different thing.
Yeah, like it's kind of funny. Like when you watch, if you watch Goonies and you watch Monster Squad, say mom. And same thing with the mom from E.T. She ends up in like a lot of movies playing the mom after E.T., but like in those same kind of films too, I think. I wasn't prepared to talk about that like as a genre today, so it's just like all off the top of our head. But yeah, if anybody in the chat thinks of better examples, let us know because I find it fascinating.
Lord of the Flies is the original battle royale, though. Let's not kid.
True. God, did I ever tell you my battle royale story in college for some reason. I can never explain this. It was like the first day of this class, and the teacher wants to break the ice, the professor, I should say, and she's like, "Oh, what's the last good movie you've seen?" And I saw Battle Royale. and no, she was cool. Like this was
a banned film at the time, folks. Right? This is the hot coffee mod days, right?
No, but for some reason I cannot explain to this day, I said Battle Royal. I don't know why that came out. It just came out like that. But anyway,
and you had seen Pulp Fiction, so you know better.
Oh, I knew better. Yeah, I knew better. Royale with cheese. So anyways, and then we have this little bit right here on props that I put up on our Star Wars news, and you could watch this video here. This is what I'm telling people. So everyone remembers how controversial the Vespa bikes were in the Book of Boba Fett. The argument can certainly be made that they didn't fit the aesthetics and vibe of the story, but Star Wars Skeleton Crew takes it to a more appropriate place. In Star Wars Skeleton Crew, we do have bikes the cast will use throughout the series. Last year, the prop department made what amounts to popular BMX/Huffy bikes from the 80s Amblin films.
Jason,
yeah,
that's what they should name the Reebok kid, Huffy.
Huffy, right? Hey, maybe his name is Neil Huffy. We'll see.
Yeah, Neil Huffy. That's his last name. I like it.
Seen in the movies such as Goonies and E.T. However, I'm told the BMX bike is contorted into a speeder bike shape to Star Wars it up. So, in case I'm not being clear, like think of like that super deformed style that you see with like cutesy chibi kind of stuff. It's kind of like that.
But the greatest of all those bikes was the Huffy Vortex.
The Huffy Vortex, that was our bike. We loved it.
The day I basically brought the DeLorean to school, and every kid who hated me was jealous.
Right? I know.
The one time my dad did right on Christmas, like.
Yeah, I got mine from Best, a store called Best. Anyways, you may recall my manservant, Bespin Bulletin, had a video of Wim on a rolling track last year shot at Cal State Dominguez Hills. From some things I have heard about the bikes and how they were shot, it most certainly was one of the bikes I'm describing. The bikes are entirely like the ones we had in the 80s. The speeder bikes have baskets on them and streamers on the handlebars because that's how it's done. Based on the pictures of the prop I've seen, I think they look fantastic, and they got them right on like the Vespas. Based on the amount of bikes made for the filming, I assume the children load the bikes onto the ship and use them in other episodes after the opening story arc. So I don't think the bikes are just in the opening. You know what I mean? Jason, any news from the Sean Levy movie from the Snyder Hot Mic? We'll talk about that stuff in just a minute. But yeah, so we're gonna have these like speeder bikes and stuff like that. Oh, and I'm not ignoring. Jason always ignores my comments because I pay him on Patreon now. No. Not true.
I do though.
Not true.
I do.
I'm ignoring your comments because I have the actual webpage open that I'm reading from. That's why. Yeah. But I do appreciate the support to the end by the whole Skywalker Academy. Yeah,
whatever.
Well, whatever. No, I don't. But yeah. So, anyways, so those are the like two stories that we have. Like I said, these are like adorable speeder bikes when you get down to it. But it's not bad. Like it's realistic. It's a good take on it, and it's a good way of conforming the visual elements of the Amblin aesthetic into like Star Wars. And they did a really good job with that, and that's one of the elements that I think is going to give the show a lot of personality. Now, my fear of Skeleton Crew, and it's not necessarily a bad place to be, even if this is what happens with it, but like that last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, Mutant Mayhem, I love the characters in it. I love exactly the world that it lays out. I'm up for all new adventures in that world with those characters, with that take on the Turtles. But I also don't think that was a very good Turtle film in totality, and that the script was like completely all there.
Because it lacked the real violence, the threat. And the threat is the Foot Clan stuff. You take that out, and then it's just plucky adventures.
Right.
And I'm like, well, we may as well be in the 80s cartoon where nothing of any substance ever happens. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be
Yeah.
freaking, the first Turtles movie has the threat of real violence, like that's it. So if you can't go as dark as that first Turtles movie,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to call that dark, like you need a level of grounding. It's the difference between Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Ghostbusters 1 has those skeleton like zombie cab drivers in it where they're rotting, and Ghostbusters 2 is plucky slime in a toaster. Like it's two different things,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that like you can do the plucky slime in the toaster, but you do also need to bring the horror at the same time.
Correct.
Like in Ghostbusters 1, you will have that librarian ghost who turns from an old lady into like something out of a fucking nightmare, and then you'll have Slimer in the same movie. It's fine. Like you could go with you could do with the horror and the eccentricities of the environment. That's where Star Wars excels, but also where it fails sometimes.
Right. When you can do that when you put in the Kirshner, when you go full prequel Lucas, you're just going to end up with, I got to tell you, Jason, I stand by it. And no one's talking about this. Not Roka, not Campion, not Harloff, not anyone. Not Santa.
Who cares
not
what
anyone
they
else.
have to say?
Huh?
Who cares what any of those Hollywood guys have to say?
Just repeat your shit. Like
they all just
later.
piss on me. They'll just shit on me and act like they're better than me.
No one's saying this now. I'm saying it now. So you all remember it. When the Acolyte comes out, I'm loving to see what modern audiences think of that Nemodian accent.
Oh.
Everyone loves to clown on Jar Jar, but that Nemodian accent, Jason, you don't walk. I was telling my wife, we're traveling around.
It's already been solved, Rob. By the way, in Revenge of the Sith, they got rid of the Asian accents on them. They just became dumb.
But this takes before.
Magnetize.
That moves forward. You got to go backward. That means you got to start with this. So you got to be consistent, Jason. According to all these stupid Star Wars fans. But I was telling my wife, I'm like, so who comes up with that? Because there's no way, even in 1998 or whatever, some voice actor walks into that little booth that Lucas, rented for $5. According to Senovich or whatever his name is, Sarah Senovich, blah 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 blah.
Right.
No one walks in there doing that, right? No one goes, like, no one goes, that's my take. Or do they?
Yeah.
And is everyone uncomfortable? But Luca goes, oh yeah, that's very Tojo. I like it. No, don't let him do it. Don't let him do it. But no one can talk him out of it.
All right, Rob. Are we gonna let the movie Rad be an Amblin film by our own metric?
No, they're too old.
Too Australian.
Same with Iron Eagle. Doug Masters is too old.
Mm-hmm.
If you were 5 years younger, you could get that territory, but he's too old.
Yeah. I agree. I
think Iron Eagle gets the closest, but he's too old.
So all right. So we have an article up here from Bestman Bulletin on Friday. He was ready to go do the show, and I was just like, why? I already did the show.
I forced the hot mic to credit him. Cost me $10.
Yeah.
But, well.
Next time, just give me the $10 and say, and I'll just be like, okay, I feel okay.
To be fair,
yeah.
To be fair, I upped my $3 to $5 on Bespin, even though I get nothing really back for that. Like,
yeah, just attitude, right? It's kind of moody, right?
Well, doesn't like jam. What can I do? What can I say?
Hey,
it's not jamming his jam.
I don't know. The guy doesn't like barbecue sauce, so I'm just convinced that the UK doesn't know how to make barbecue sauce at this point, because that sounds like the most un-American thing. I feel like we're all Americans in our heart.
Have you ever eaten mushy peas? They don't know how to make vegetables either, Jason. Like,
nah, man. I ain't in the water.
They know how to fry things. They're good at that. They're good at frying things.
Okay, so here's the article from Bestman Bulletin. The Mandalorian Season 4 reportedly being turned into a movie, next Star Wars film to be released. Jeff Snyder of the Hot Mic has taken to his podcast to share an update on the next Star Wars movie, which might come as a shock to some readers, but not to all who have been following this site in recent months. And you could follow him on Patreon and Coffee if you want to help him out, which you should if you have the means. Before delving into what has been heard, Snyder shared the latest episode of the podcast, The Hot Mic, which he co-hosts with John Roca, that things in the film industry have changed, including plans to the Writers Guild of America strike and SAG-AFTRA strike. Sorry, I'm getting this tickle in my throat. And that it's in particular has impacted Star Wars. Pre-strike, Snyder reported that the Daisy Ridley-led untitled Star Wars movie was set to be the next Star Wars film to be released, and that Lucasfilm were eyeing an April 2024 start. Snyder, as well as the Hollywood trades and various insiders, all pointed towards the Ridley film being the first Star Wars movie to be released since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. That is what I have been hearing myself. However, Snyder is now hearing that the Ridley-led New Jedi Order movie is seemingly no longer the next Star Wars film looking to release in theaters. He says, I think we've all been operating under the impression that the Daisy Ridley movie was going to be the next Star Wars movie. I know I certainly was. They announced like 3 movies, and it was like, okay, the Daisy Ridley one is the furthest along, I think. It has a director and all that. Anyways, it doesn't sound like that may be the next one. And that was Jeff Snyder's quote. The news that the Ridley film may come as a surprise, given that just recently the film's lead, Daisy Ridley herself, shared that she believes her Star Wars film, set to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, was set to be the next Star Wars movie released in theaters. The next Star Wars movie slated to be released is on May 22nd, 2026. However, Snyder is now hearing from his Disney source that this is no longer the case, and went on to share that the next Star Wars film to be released will actually be the 4th season of The Mandalorian, which is now taking shape as a movie instead of a TV show. Snyder said, a couple of months ago, I shot this one down. Yeah, you shouldn't have. You debunked me for no reason. That there were rumors that season 4 of The Mandalorian would be turned into a movie. I think at the time, I didn't think that was necessarily the case. However, that is now what I'm starting to hear. So, yeah, welcome aboard. That the odds are in the project's favor. I spelled favor wrong. We're Americans over here. Come on, man. Here we go. USA Today. Whatever the season 4 of The Mandalorian turns out to be, whoever it is in it, whatever it turns out, whatever shape it takes, it looks like it's going to be the next Star Wars movie, and that might be the thing that's announced before the end of the year. Jeff Snyder. Bespin goes on to write, you may be thinking that this Mando season 4 turning into a movie rumor sounds familiar. That's because it is. In July, 5 months ago, Making Star Wars reported that Lucasfilm and Disney were considering turning the 4th season of The Mandalorian into a feature film, and that the executives quite liked the idea. MSW stressed that this was simply an option that Disney were considering, and was dependent on how significant of an impact the strike had on The Mandalorian Season 4's production and other Star Wars productions. The 5-month report lines up perfectly with what Snyder is reporting today, though no credit was given to Making Star Wars during the hot mic initially, but was done so once a viewer and co-host of the Making Star Wars show, Sketchcraft, sent in a super chat to the show to credit MSW.
I like that. I got
yeah,
Bespin, I like that. Like, thank you. I like that one. Is that the first time anyone's ever reported on a super jet?
Hey, you made it.
I think so, right? I think we just made internet history.
The Hot Mike's conversation moved on to the Mando's leading man, Pedro Pascal, would be available to star in the film given his commitments to Fantastic Four and The Last of Us Season 2, both of which begin filming early next year, and Weapons, a movie he shoots later in 2024. John Roca stressed his concerns about the supporting cast not having enough of a draw at the box office, including Katie Sackhoff and Rosario Dawson. But Snyder seemed baffled as to how Pascal could be available for the film, something I've been saying for quite some time. But once again, though, with Pedro Pascal being able to go and then show up for a couple of days for his helmetless scenes is not fucking out of the realm of possibility. But I'm going to tell you guys what I think, because I reported on this 5 months ago, and now I'm 5 months out from that story. Okay.
Yeah, Star Wars has never been about drawing for actors in the film.
It's always used to the older venerable characters to elevate the cast for box office stuff. That's classical.
In my opinion, the biggest. I know he's not my generation, so I guess my uncles would say Peter Cushing was the biggest, but no. For my money, the biggest actor they've ever had for who was on fire at the time when that movie came out was Sam Jackson, and that was squandered and not even really in the movie. So it doesn't. No one was going to the Phantom Menace because Sam Jackson wasn't. To be Peter, they were cool, but
they were going to Phantom Menace no matter what it was. But for Peter Cushing and Sam Jackson weren't box office draws. Peter Cushing and Alec Guinness weren't box office draws by the time that they were in Star Wars either. They were supporting characters. They weren't leading men at all anymore.
Right.
So it's completely, like I said, it's I would actually say the biggest star at the time that we had seen in Star Wars up to that point was actually Liam Neeson. I'm talking about like a lead billing.
He had no heat at the time. But the heat was
well,
on.
Well, he was.
Sam Jackson just came off Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, he just came off Schindler's List when he started filming.
No, Schindler's List was 7 years before, dude.
It came out what, 95?
Schindler's List was 9. No, Schindler's List came out the same year as Jurassic Park, man.
It did. It was really that early. I didn't know. I know that came
6
out.
years. Yeah, that was 6 years, dude. No, it was way. Rob Roy was newer.
Yeah, it was 93. It was 93.
Rob Roy was newer. Dude.
Yeah,
Rob Roy, the Cinemax Braveheart, dude. You know.
But anyways, my point still stands though. When I'm trying to make is when he filmed Star Wars in 1997 and he was cast in early 97, he was a leading man in films. Rob Roy. There were other. He got. Did he get the Oscar for Schindler's List? I don't know.
Yeah, he got the Oscar.
Yeah, he got the Oscar for Schindler. Like when that guy was cast, he was a movie star. Now, what he did after
Sam
that,
Jackson got the Oscar for Pulp Fiction as well.
Yeah, so. but he wasn't billed. Like I don't think Sam Jackson was like on the poster for the Phantom Menace.
You're forgetting how everyone that Pulp Fiction. Jules was everywhere even at that time, dude.
But I'm talking. I know. No.
The MTV Awards weren't doing spoofs on Schindler's List. All right,
right. But somebody being in a film and somebody being top billed is just two different things, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Is that like, yeah, could you see a Sam Jackson pop up in that movie? Yes, but and classically, it's changed now. You didn't make 40-year-olds your leads in Star Wars. This is a Disney thing that they have done.
Rob Roy's a better movie than Braveheart, but the score to Braveheart is better than Rob Roy's score. So.
All right, that's fair. Yeah. But anyways, he goes on to say, I don't know how you get him Pedro on camera if this movie winds up being given his schedule for the next 4 to 6 months. Maybe it's another person in the suit and he comes in and does voiceover. I don't know. That's exactly what they would do. I mean, when you get down to it, the amount of times that the helmet comes off and what those moments are amounts to a few days of shooting. It's not like they can't get him away on a weekend and do it. They could definitely do it, and several times if they need to, I think.
No, Jason, we got James Earl Jones in that suit in Rogue One. When I was shooting that scene, I personally drove James Earl Jones down and just shoved him in the suit. We just pushed him up on set and stuff. And that's why everyone was running, because they was just afraid he was gonna fall over and kill himself. But he was, yeah, we had that actual hallway, Jason, is actually a bounce house. People don't know that. Like, it's inflatable. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could jump.
Filoni SD's whole bedroom is a bounce house. The conversation between the hot mic host that then shifted between the idea of the Mandalorian season 4 becoming a movie, not seemingly like $1 billion film idea. But Snyder added that he thinks Lucasfilm are anxious to get a movie.
Hold on. I I really like Roka and Snyder, and I appreciate that show, even if they never talked about Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But the fact that any one of them mentioned $1 billion film idea, right? Like,
yeah,
no one in the history of fucking planet Earth has $1 billion film idea, because ideas don't make $1 billion.
All right, all right. Check it out. Anya Taylor-Joy steps out of a time machine. And she's in front of 25-year-old Sam from Who's the Boss. They kiss. $1 million. Right there. $1 million.
We're talking about $1 billion. I mean, Avatar was even written in 95.
Rob, it's $1 trillion idea I just had now.
With inflation, it's going to need to be $1 billion. It's going to be shit in another year. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Star Wars gets back to $1 billion right now.
They just need excitement. They need people to be excited. That's it. And this comes back to the conversation we had last time. Had the whole internet. I figured as much. We get a lot of heat. That's why I said it. My comments about John Williams scoring Star Wars films. You know, we have people go in the comments, Rob, I'm a professional musician, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, say what you want about motifs and all this fucking music theory bullshit. I'm talking about excitement. I'm not talking about whether you can hum the theme. I'm not talking about it needs to be.
You actually were to that guy. Huh? You kept saying, no, I was about to comment.
To the bad guys need a good hummable theme. Yeah, it's fucking John Williams doing the bad guys. You better have something that's on the level of fucking Imperial March and Duel of the Fates. Otherwise, why are they the bad guys?
Well,
that all being said,
but something being hummable does not mean something is good either.
Huh?
I mean, something being hummable is, it just
Yeah,
means
but that my point.
usually something that isn't hummable just has
Okay,
dissonant,
but see,
drawn out
don't get
notes.
hyperbolic. The
I'm not.
point I was making is it needs to have energy, and I fall asleep listening to this man's music because he's falling asleep making it. That's it. You know, like.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm with your deeper point. Williams is done. Williams is done. Williams has done what he's going to do. Williams is not going to offer anything.
I love reading the comments. It doesn't upset me. I get to talk about. Give me a break for another hour. Like, so like, but I'm not gonna have like long diatribes. I just have fun comments. It's fun for me. But that's the thing. This movie just needs energy. Like that's all it needs, man. And if it has energy, that's a win because everyone's gonna be excited to see it. And I don't want to hear anything about how like folks are like, I can't imagine this working. Like when they say I can't imagine a movie working. Hey man, no one could imagine a freaking Barbie movie working before the shit came out. When you see the trailer,
anything I know is that Star Wars fans can't imagine very much. Usually,
and look,
unfortunately,
even Marvel fans can't, because for the last year, go type in Echo trailer into YouTube, and you're gonna see like all this love, and then it's going to say 5 months ago and all this hate, like a year worth of hate, right? And what changed? What magically changed, Jason? One trailer people like. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Well, I can tell you that what they showed of Echo at D23 and what they showed in that trailer were not the same thing at all.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know.
The commerce. So he talks about the $1 billion idea, but Snyder added that he thinks Lucasfilm are anxious to get a movie out into theaters, and that this is the quickest way, given the world building that's gone into this period, with multiple seasons of The Mandalorian.
You must watch our show, Jason.
As well as spinoffs such as the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka. Now here's a key thing that is missing from this version of this rumor. Is when I was hearing this, it was that there wasn't going to be enough time to get the Mandalorian's next season and the Ahsoka setup into a movie, and that those were going to probably somehow be what they did in that movie, because it's going to end up being a trilogy is the plan. That said, I don't well, I'll talk about that in a second. Snyder added that perhaps expectation of this release isn't to make $1 billion, but just to start the ball rolling in regards to finally getting Star Wars films back in theaters with a more modest budget and goal, which I would agree with that take.
Yeah. That's been my take for 2 years now, Jason.
Grow it, don't show it, right?
Wow, Jeff, you out there? Hey, Jeff, if you're listening right now, it's okay, buddy. You should have Felonious on the hot mic. He'd be happy to come on.
I'm sure
that whole audience up.
just fucking take it, and when you say it, it means something more than when I say it or he says it. So just do it like that. But I'm sure a question many readers have.
Roka even took our Spreezy Head's great hair bit, Jason. That's our bit. Like,
he does have great hair.
I've been gushing about. I know, but I make a big thing out of it, Jason.
Yeah,
I just like watching Roka. Wow, look at that damn hair.
Well, I'm sure a question many readers have, as I have it myself, is that the film is going to act as the Mandalorian crossover event film that was ancient at Star Wars Celebration back in April, that was to be directed by Dave Filoni, or is it something else? Like I said, I've known what the answer to that. I don't know, and Snyder didn't have the answer either. I've had the answer, is that it wouldn't be the film that Filoni was initially going to make, but rather a consolidation of the content that was going to be in those shows that would then set up his film.
All killer, no filler.
I personally don't know. I think if that path was to be taken, it would mean those seasons would be moved out and need to be redone somehow. I don't see how those seasons, the season concepts, survive of those shows. But I'm also, if you're listening to the show,
Disney+ in a different place right now. I'm curious to see, Jason. Remember, Pixar was making a TV series, like a Bad News Bears kind of thing, right, with a girls' baseball team.
Right.
And I've been really looking forward to this, and I haven't heard nothing. And now I'm wondering if that'll even come out with the way they're retooling Disney+ right now. You know,
well,
I wonder.
Well, the whole thing that I've been saying, and I've been saying this with good reason, I believe, is that if this Filoni movie takes off, they're not going back to like TV. They're going to be making Star Wars films for quite a while.
Or they'll leave the TV to be one thing, like The Acolyte, or something like skeleton, and then that stuff will eventually make it onto a movie, and then they'll do a new which is like I just think they should have 1, maybe 2 shows on Disney Plus at all. That's just a
I've heard
series,
the plan is for Acolyte, if it connects, to take over the Disney Plus shows. Instead of the Mandoverse, you could call it the Acolyte verse, whatever the fucking dumb thing you guys want to call it. And they'll be doing that stuff. It will be Acolyte and the spin-offs. Because remember, Acolyte is about a rogue ex-Padawan who is investigating crimes and the Sith. But that's not a show about Jedi Knights doing Jedi Knight shit. Like that's
I just love when you say it. No, I just love when you pitch it, Jason. I just love it's about a rogue Padawan who solves crimes and goes rogue. And this is what I pitched to ABC in 1997, and they wouldn't do it. They didn't have the vision.
No one do it.
And they said, "What the fuck's a Padawan?" And I had to make a whole movie explaining that. Yeah.
And you started screaming at them, the Wookiee doesn't have pants, because I don't want it to have pants. And it was weird, but it was like you had this bent up rage about something from the past.
Yeah. Did John Knoll tell you that story?
Everybody told me that story, George. Everybody told me that story. But no, is that like people need to realize that they're being more careful. And in being more careful, that means less risk. It means less. Skeleton Crew definitely would not be made today. Skeleton Crew wouldn't get a shot. So hopefully Skeleton Crew is good. It really does connect but stuff like that, it ain't going to be on the table in the next couple of years. It's only going to be the surefire ideas.
There's no such thing as a surefire idea, though.
Okay.
I wish.
Okay.
Even like when I say when I say take the easy, I said take the easy way and give people a movie that they're all behind these characters. Now, is everyone behind these characters for the Mando film? At this point, no, they've burnt a little bit of that goodwill. So, but an amazing trailer, everyone will forget, Jason. Everyone will forget,
But there's a difference between for Star Wars, a surefire idea is Jedi Knights with lightsabers doing Jedi stuff. Okay? Like that right there is easy to sell.
Amazing fights, but Jedi stuff where they
10-year-olds
investing librarians, like investigating, like
10-year-olds fighting pirates. Harder sell. Yeah, not a surefire idea.
I'm not on that idea
all,
right now. So it's
I,
the smell in the hut that worries me about the Skeleton Crew, Jason. It's not the premise, it's not the idea, it's not the people making it. It's the fact that Sal of the Hut is in that thing, and I just
no, he's not. He's dead. He's not in it. You keep saying it.
But the pirates
he's
from
dead.
that, I hate that little.
The other pirate looks good. The other one, Vaughn, I don't remember what his name was.
I don't like his tone. I don't like him.
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it.
I don't like him.
And he's but anyways, back to the thing with that thing. I heard that 5 months ago. My sources aren't fucking a joke. My source isn't like, some fucking trickling out shit. I'm not what's his name over at that one website that's like, Anchorhead's in it, scoop. I don't do that shit. Okay. My sources are fucking good. I don't need to prove that at this point. And, but here's the whole thing is I heard that 5 months ago that it was on the table and it was a pet idea by, I don't want to make the story sexier than it is, because it's not that sexy. But there were executives who wanted some things to happen and some that wanted to stay the course. And I think that idea was probably by the executives who wanted to change the path. And I don't think it's happening. And in my opinion, everything that you've heard in the last 2 months, everything you've heard post-strike has been incorrect. That was my opinion. I'm not debunking anybody. I'm not calling anybody straight out wrong, but did Stephen Knight turn in a draft? I've heard he did not. But is the movie gonna film in April? I highly fucking doubt it, based off of what I'm hearing from people that would be on it and around it. And it's not that hot, and that is the one thing that I think works in the story's favor the most right now, is how not hot it is, considering that we're encroaching on January And if they're going to start doing stuff in April, for instance, it would be about now. And we're not really it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's like, because I haven't heard it doesn't mean it's not happening, obviously, but I don't have anything, and that's what's kind of making me think that if anything starts in April, it's going to be builds for the stuff, and I think the filming's going to be in the summer, like just based off of everything as it is right now. I would bet on it being in the summer, and I don't think the Mandalorian is the next film. I do think it's the Rey film.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me like they're making the Rey film the same way they made those sequel movies, and it's like off the seat of their pants. And I just I don't know, man. Like I get that was done, in the past, but I just feel like that was a luck issue. I mean, it's luck. It's luck. It's hard to recreate luck. Look, it wasn't hard essentially to make American Graffiti. He couldn't recapture it with American Graffiti too,
But we can't. Okay, but here's the thing: is we can't evaluate the present based off of the soundbite nature of the discourse of the film bros, because the film bros don't know. Okay, but here's the whole thing: is The Force Awakens was the first one written. It's written. They wrote the scripts. They did it. And then Ryan said, okay, and here's what we're going to do to get us to the end game. And they all agreed on it. 2/3 of the sequel trilogy is planned out. 2/3 of the sequel trilogy went according to plan. The last third didn't, because J.J. Abrams had a fucking brain fart, said, let's get the Batman versus Superman guy and let's do this shit in 6 months. And it's not how it's done. And he dropped the ball. He couldn't do it. And now it's like 2 films have egg on its face because of that third bad film. Like, that's really what happened there. It's been over 3 years of pre-production on this Rey film now. So until we know what did Stephen Knight start from scratch? Did he throw out everything? Did they allow him to? Or did he build upon the bones of what existed? I'm of the opinion he's building on the bones of what existed. So it's not as bad as it can sound. It's not as bad as they are going to make it sound. They're definitely, the internet discourse is going to make it sound like that. And I don't know if it is, but the one thing where it is that, in my opinion, is the fact that they are not committed to doing several films, only if the first one is successful. So that means to me that they're not going to be as willing to make concessions for sequel ideas in the main narrative, which is probably better for that film. But I don't know. I mean, I am with you in the sense that it definitely sounds like things are still fluid behind the scenes, and that's not really what we want, is it? If that's in fact accurate. Like I said, I heard this was on the table 5 months ago during the strike. I think to me that this amounts to, for me personally, doesn't mean for you guys, but for me, is it's just a validation that what I heard was publicly validated. I don't need it privately validated. My sources are fucking stellar. I'm good. I don't need that. But in terms of that, yeah, it's nice to have it publicly validated. But it's also weird to have it publicly validated by the person who invalidated it and then co-opted and then forgets who said it. It's a bit fucking lazy, especially if it's your scoop du jour. Fucking Google it. Takes 1 second.
Yeah, but the thing, Jason, is changing the whole crew around, the director, the writer, and everything, says to me that they don't know the film they're making. They have a film they still want to make, and it's not there yet. So again, we're still right back into the same place we left Star Wars, which is Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker is right where we're right back in that territory. And you could say, hey, no, man, bro, I'm making fucking 900 million. Rise of Skywalker comes out today, it don't make 900 million. I'm telling you right now.
I'm not arguing that
spot.
You made like 3 points, and I'm on the first one.
Yeah, I know, but I let you speak, and I'm going right back on the first one. Like I know,
but
we know,
but that's not what happened, Rob. But I know what happened, and I'm telling you that's not what's happened here. They got rid of Homeboy because of the controversy that was coming. They didn't know how big it was going to be.
Well, then they don't really need a new script. They just need they just need the new guy to write enough new in it to get a WGA credit, right?
Let me get there though, and then the other thing is that there were changes that they wanted made to it that were pet ideas. And in terms of those pet ideas, getting a writer to leave those ideas behind is harder than just getting a new writer to come in and do what you want.
I understand that.
And that's why that happened. And that's also why I think that he doesn't have bad blood with them. And it's also why I think that he wants to come back. And it's why I am honestly expecting him to be the executive producer of the movie still.
Whatever that means these days.
No. I'm not talking.
It's a good faith issue.
No, it's not a good. No. He does not Ewan McGregor it. He doesn't go and get a vanity credit. This is a real producer that he will. I am saying I think he will be on the set producing.
Well, that's on Lucasfilm to share the making of this, so we know, but they don't share the making of any of this stuff. So
I will know. I will be able to tell you if he's there or not. Yeah, I mean that's why I know who all of the writers.
Else.
That's the reason why you know that Christopher McQuarrie was the writer of Rogue One, because he was the on-set writer.
You're gonna anger him.
He was on set. He was the on-set writer of Rogue One when changes needed to be made for a part of that production. But but anyways, like right now, I man,
I want to see McQuarrie and Gareth Edwards team up for real, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like if there was a way they do another Mission Impossible set in the future and McQuarrie ain't directing, get Gareth Edwards on, or just do a Star Wars with those two. That's the thing that would excite me the most. Those two working together.
But I will say, if I were Gareth, if I were anybody, if you get in there and you make a Star Wars thing and it's good, get the fuck out and never go back. Never ever go back. Take the win for life. And just fucking sit on the accolades for the rest of your life. If you go back, you will fuck it up, and you will return. You will eventually get to Return of the Jedi, and then you will eventually get to the Phantom Menace, and they will turn on you. It's the way it goes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
For sure. No. Don't do it. Fucking get out there, be a legend, and get the fuck out. If Abrams had fucking done The Force Awakens and never done anything else, he would be the gold standard for Star Wars directors and what everyone should be aspiring to in terms of the discourse. Instead, he's the fucking guy who came in and stayed at the party too long. That's what I think, anyways. That would be my advice. If you hit the home run, grand slam it, get the fuck out. That's what I would do. But yeah, like obviously. I don't know.
It is the best Star Wars made.
Is it safe to say we are anti-auteur theory on this show? Because I am definitely not buying into the myth of it anymore.
Auteur. My stance on auteur theory is you can get a really good win, but to replicate that gets harder and harder the more you move outward. Like Alan Moore can write The Watchmen, but can't do it twice. You know, same with Frank Miller made The Dark Knight Returns, can't do it twice. Well, it gets hard. You got to have more and more people on board to help you get there, because it just becomes more. And people also expect a more improved situation. So look, Avatar. Look, these movies coming out, they're really all tied together in some storyline that takes place over 20 years. I think, as I understand it, 20 to 30 years. The people really age, right, in these films. They will. You'll see, But in order to do that, Homeboy got the showrunner from the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the only good Terminator. It's not Terminator, but it's good for what it was. Like
I liked everybody but John Connor in that show when I watched it.
I know, but no one liked John Connor when we were kids either, Jason.
What? I loved Edward Furlong. I had the same haircut.
Nobody liked Edward.
Started shaving underneath. Started shaving that long with shaving underneath because of
5 different writers on that, and and so I just think like it gets more. If you're going to improve, you need more of a crew. Look, there's a podcast I listen to called Writers Blockbusters. Right, it's a podcast. It's 3 guys. One's a screenwriter, does a lot of those Nickelodeon Goonie style horror movies for kids and stuff. Another one's Jimmy George. He does script fixing and like helping, right, professionally. It's what he does. And the third guy, just Bob, he just does the podcast, right? He's the fan. Right. He's like us. He's us. And they just did It's a Wonderful Life. Now, the 2 screenwriters, they've never watched this movie. They only know of it as the third act, as we understand it. The angel comes back and blah, blah, blah. They don't know there's this whole other movie about banking and the financial crisis and the mortgage situation and the depression, all that stuff happening before then, right? With a relationship. They didn't know about any of that stuff, which, by the way, they also came to appreciate the Phantom Menace more. Like, I guess banking can be interesting. It's a great revelation for them. But that movie, my point was that movie had 7 writers.
Right.
You know, It's a Wonderful Life had 7 writers, even though it was already based. It was a book. People don't know that. And the book was just the 3rd act, by the way. Like,
I if I remember correctly, I think like Lethal Weapon, every single time there was a sequel, it got like another writer. I think that's how it went. Like by the time you get to like Lethal Weapon 5, there's 5 writers on it. It's like,
now that can be good or bad. I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is, are you trying to fulfill? Is there a clear vision and it's hard to get to, or is there no vision and you're just hoping someone can come in and save the
brings it to you? Yeah,
that's because I look at the Matrix Awakens and I'm like, no fucking vision for here. You know what I mean? I don't care one person wrote this shit or not. Like, it was ridiculous. So like, however, I think the vision was clear even on Knives Out too. Like I may not love The Island, but it's still a solid movie. You can't not watch that and not be entertained. Like so that's just really where it comes down to. And so far, I mean, Jason, I know we've seen very little, but I've yet to get the sense that there's a clear vision for this moving forward. This is just one option in a bucket of 5 options, and they want to see which one will play. And I think right now people are confused enough with the Marvel shit that adding multiple storylines with different characters as Star Wars films and not having one storyline that goes across Star Wars films is going to be a big fundamental mistake. I just think people are going to be they're not up for it right now. Like, it's not the zeitgeist. And
well, if they don't, I don't have a lot of sympathy for the Star Wars runners who do absolutely nothing and have no answer to how to solve people not being confused at a glance. And I feel like they either just go with the idea that, oh, well, the confused dummies are confused. Who cares about them? But it's like, no, this is your job. You should solve this.
But it's also excitement. When you saw something, if you love it, the next time you go to the theater, oh, it's not that. Oh, by the way, it's not even not that. This is a different timeline. So you can't even it's just a flawed idea to me.
What you're saying right now is exactly why we don't have an Old Republic story. Whenever people go, why don't they make the Old Republic? Well, that Knights of the Old Republic, that's exactly why. That's exactly 100% why.
TV show. That should be a TV show.
Well, that's why the Acolyte. That's why the Acolyte is basically that. Yeah.
It can't do 100 hours worth of story in 3 films, dude. I mean, look at the Lord of the Rings. Even that, like it's great for
they washed dishes in The Hobbit, and that felt.
But look, okay, here's a better example. It took Harry Potter like 8 films. They had to break the last one up in 2 parts to do that simple story. Right. And here we're like, no, we'll do the whole thing in 3. Like, it's not going to work anymore.
Oh yeah, since 2013, I've been saying the trilogy concept is dead. Don't use it anymore. Stop living by it. It was a great marketable thing in the 80s. And it was like the patience for sequels was at about 2. So you could get about 3 movies out of something. And after that, you were going way too far. Rocky became a joke by Rocky 4. And but now the film industry has changed. We all have sequel-itis, and it's a different world. So make it as many movies as the consumers want to buy from you.
In some ways, because I'm older, it reminds me of when Image Comics first started up. The company Image Comics in 92, and Rob Liefeld had this book called Youngblood. First book out the thing, right? Celebrity superheroes.
Yeah, me and Rob follow each other on a Twitter. We're like really.
I deleted my Twitter. So.
And how about you? Does he follow you on Twitter?
No, I got blocked, but I deleted my Twitter. So I
fucking around with you. I just wanted to bring that up because he did on Paul. He went on Paul's show, and Paul was like critical of him, and he got in the ban list.
here's the thing. I did a whole show with Paul about the Star Wars manga. Like 2 months ago, I still won't post it because I'm like, you fix the Rob Liefeld thing first, and I'll post the show. So you waste my time, I waste your time. It wasn't my plan when we did it, but I thought about it after. I was like, I'll just sit on this. So who cares? But here's about 2 old guys talking about Star Wars manga. So, anyways, but what I was trying to say about the Image Comics thing is he launched this book,
right?
And then he launched Brigade, and then he launched he just kept launching new characters, and he wasn't really sticking with the book. you know?
Yeah.
So that was like he kept chasing after all these new characters. And he talks about this on his own podcast. Well, I love making new characters. Like, yeah, but people want you to do something with the ones you got. And Marvel's doing that right now. They keep launching all these characters, but they don't do anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel the same way about Star Wars. If you just keep launching character bits and you're not doing anything with the ones you got, then you can't expect anyone to give a shit about this stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the whole problem that I think Marvel essentially has for me as well right now. Like when I see the movies that they've been doing and the characters that they've been doing, I'm like, yeah, but are these gonna stick? Do I want to get invested in something that isn't gonna go anywhere? You know? And then I'm like, that's where I feel like, yeah, you know what? You need your Hulk and your Iron Man and your Captain America and your mainstays. And you know, maybe experiment while using those other mainstays at the same time. But when you go a whole new generation of heroes, it's fucking don't want it. I just don't want to get involved. And I'm sure Star Wars people are like that about Star Wars as well. I'm not. I mean, with Star Wars, I would be happy with that actually, but I don't think that's how you sell Star Wars at a
Imagine
mass
if we
level.
got Ghostbusters, but then the next movie was Egon, and then the next movie was Slimer. It starts to dilute everything really quickly.
Yeah.
You know,
I do want a movie about where Jack Black dies and he becomes Slimer at the end, though. I would watch that movie.
He should be Evo Shandor. That was the original Max Landis script. That Evo Shandor was the original Slimer. Is the whole thing. Yeah, it went nowhere.
Yeah. But anyways, just so to be clear, Skeleton Crew. I've heard scales younger, like I said, but I don't know if it's good. Don't know if it's bad. I have no idea. I haven't seen it. And the amount of people who have seen it, it's too small to even matter at this point. And then when you get down to it,
we saw flashlights in the trailer, right? I remember seeing that bootleg. There was flashlights in that trailer, like in the woods.
Shot against the fog. Yeah.
Do you think they'll do the flashlights as lightsabers gag with the kids? Remember when we did as kids? When we were kids and Star Wars came out, we used to take a flashlight and pretend they were lightsabers. I wonder if anyone will ever do. No one's ever done that gag, let alone in Star Wars. I wonder if they'll do that in Star Wars. The last time I saw it,
in episode 9, they kind of do it, but kind of. Remember, Pope pulls out his lightsaber and
kids, right? But kids doing it. That would be right. It'd be a good gag. It'd be a good one.
True. That's weird.
Man, Hikey really wants to talk about Sean Levy. Hey, man, dude's making Deadpool 3. Like,
yeah,
that's it. That's what he's doing right now. He can't shoot 2 movies at one time, right? So that ain't coming in the next 5 years. So sit back on that idea.
Right. For some reason, I can't get the old Reddit to load.
Did Elon buy it?
Probably. I think it's fucked up. I wanted to play Bespin Bulletin. On his YouTube, had a video of a kid on the bike. I think it was Wim on the bike that was filmed out there, and I wanted to show that. I forgot to show it, but let's pull that up and show it on the show.
Hey, James Gunn just confirmed Nicholas Holt's Luther.
Oh yeah,
it's a good call. It's a good call. By the way, when I went to go see The Abyss last week, turns out I saw on the shittiest fucking screen known to man, so I didn't really get any of the benefit of being 4K. So other than no film grain, I saw this trailer for The Boys in a Boat. Right, some stupid movie that George Clooney's directing about guys in road crew, which I can give a fuck less about. But Joel Edgerton, Owen Lars is in that movie, looking the most Gene Hackman I've ever seen anyone look since Kevin Spacey. Like Gene, go look at him in that trailer, Jason. I'm like, that motherfucker's pulling the Gene Hackman. Like if they hadn't gone this way, like that Joel Edgerton is that's his name, right? The Owen Lars dude, Joel Edgerton is. That you know me, I'm not good with names, so I got one right. That would have been a good older Luther. Like he's got the look, man. It's definitely a little bit of a chameleon. That guy.
Here is a video of of who I think is Wim on his speeder bike in a daytime shoot right here. See, this is
there it is.
And but it's not all together there.
And then it ejects them right off.
Yeah, right. It doesn't have all of the
it doesn't. It ejects them off. I was kidding, but I do like to speed it out.
Is it on wire?
Houtini! We got to do it in slow motion, right? You got to go, right, hold on.
Yeah, I think
oh, it's cool, man. You got to ride a rail and shit. So is that the kid or is that a stunt kid?
It's a
Or is
stunt
that
double.
like a chick?
It's a stunt person. Yeah, it's a stunt person.
Yeah.
I think, but based on the wig, on the hair, it makes me think that it's for whim.
Would have been great if they're like, the selling point for this film is we had all the kids do their own stunts. They're just throwing the kids off roofs.
Yeah.
Dragging them by cars and shit like an Indiana Jones.
The great thing about the great thing about kids is you could just have more, you know?
Yeah. Anyone could be one of these little bastards, you know?
Yeah. But that was from a Bespin Bulletin article.
That'd be one of those higher, like Key and Peele style sketches where they put more money into it, but you know, they do a making of, and they're like, the kids did their own stunts, and they're just fucking them up. You know,
you know, in '83, there was one of the rarer vintage Star Wars items to ever be made was kids like speeder bike. It was like a bike that you sat on, and you had pedals.
Yeah,
it's kind of like more like a big wheel, I'd say.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's like super rare. Back in the day, it was going for thousands.
I
had heard that it wasn't ever sold, that it was like a giveaway thing that was going to be sold, and it was a giveaway at like stores, and the ones that are out there were given away at the giveaways, but it never went into mass production and was sold in stores. I don't know if that's true. That's what I heard years ago.
I never saw one in the wild.
Yeah, I never saw one in real life.
I always wanted the mask,
museums.
One, because it had like the folding, like the folding,
the
doors
red
that go
one
up
with the lasers that came out. Yeah,
the Transformers one was the
cousin had it.
worst. Like, it was the one that angered me the most, because like all I wanted was the Optimus Prime truck. Like, I wanted to look like the truck, but a big wheel.
Yeah,
and it's like a big wheel with the Optimus Prime head on it or some stupid shit. It was so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I had the General Lee, very racist big wheel. And then after that, I got Michael Knight's Knight Rider.
That was the one everyone loved. That was the coolest one you can.
But anyways, where I'm going with this is, I'm curious if they're going to release bikes for this thing. You know what I mean? If there's going to be like, if they're going to do like a speeder bike version. Yeah,
I know. I'm only really familiar with this because for the Spawn comic I'm drawing, I designed a big wheel for the book. I'm not gonna say what it is right now, but I designed a big wheel. I was like, look at me, I'm a big boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do one pretty soon, and I need to get Meg on. I want to get Meg on to talk about it. There's been a lot of stuff with the UFO stuff recently, but honestly, most of it is just pointing towards it being a grift, and more stuff that's come out about the people who are involved in the government side of it has all been heavily grifty now, and it's super disappointing. And I don't like.
UFOs aren't a grift. The people grifting UFOs are a grift right now. And I've been
that's what I'm saying. But this whole move towards disclosure of the last 2 years is like. Yeah,
people forget the Disclosure Project and where that went. You know,
I feel like and so it's been like an up and down thing for me, because it makes me mad when it's a grift, and then I don't want to talk about it because it's not as exciting. It's more anger inducing. But there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on, and what's his name? Middle of Mayhem on Twitter. The guy from the New York Post did a 5-part thing on like Skinwalker Ranch and the stuff that was going on behind the scenes with Bobby Bigelow and all of that. And I highly recommend watching that if you're on like a UAP kick, to know, because I think it's important to know who's grifting and who's not. Like the podcast by Ryan Sprague called Somewhere in the Skies. I think the guy is generally just a UFO enthusiast. He never seems to like side with anything. Like he's very like, he doesn't push anything. He'll talk about the news.
Yeah.
I enjoy his demeanor. You know what I mean? So far,
yeah.
I haven't seen anything that's I haven't had any like red flags about like
he's not selling mega brain pills in between. Bits,
he's not. And so like that's a good one, by the way. And he also like does show, some people like him, some people don't. I do like him. It'll be like an hour to 2 hour long supercut of people just sending in their stories of encounters or of sightings, and some of them are super fascinating, and like, you know, when you're just like working or driving or something like that, I enjoy just hearing it because it's it's strange.
I can't listen to it if I'm trying to work because it annoys me. But if we're playing Fortnite, I'll put that shit on and laugh, like to fill in. Because there's this point when we play Fortnite where Bespin's really vocal and then he gets serious. Like he turns on the rage, right? And the kill count goes up and he stops talking.
The little psychopath. The little psychopath.
How I imagine Neil will be on the show. Like he'll be the bloodbath kid. He'll pull out the 2 butcher knives, he'll come out the room just covered in blood, and the show will get real dark,
So the thing about the Peruvian, Rick Jones says, what about the Peruvian alien mummified remains from the Mexican Congress? So the problem with those is I am of the opinion that, we're not going to go to a planet and we're not going to see like, oh, look at this thing. It's just an electricity creature. I think that the rules of the universe are firmly like established. There is continuity in the rules of the universe, I would think, in terms of like compositions of things, stuff like that. So anyways, where I'm going with this is the bones of the Peruvian alien mummified creatures do not represent any life that could move. It doesn't make any evolutionary sense.
You wouldn't work in Spore, the video game, if you remember that one, Jason.
Yeah. And there's a lot that goes around on about it. Like, oh, this part's unidentified. We don't know what it is. And it's like, yeah, they because if you're going to fake something, that's what you would do. And the person who did show those to the Mexican Congress is a known grifter and has grifted on the same grift before. So if those are real, it's the most unfortunate thing in human history that it was that person who released them.
It reminds me of when you told your mom all you wanted for your birthday was a C-3PO cake, and they showed it to the guy who makes $5 an hour at Walmart, and that's that you made that. Like that's what you got.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I guess it's 3PO,
Yeah. Like Will says, the human camera-like eye has evolved 7 times independently. It's like a 97% chance that anything like us would have our eye. And that's like most of the things that I've ever read that seemed credible and intelligent always had like a thing like, yeah, like if we found another place like Earth, we would find birds most likely. Or if it was like in our era, in our general era, like if it's like the Jurassic era, you're going to find things like dinosaurs like you would find on Earth, but they would be different. There would be differences obviously in the evolution. Bigger. But you would be like, if you saw it, we would have a word for it. That's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's a bird. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So anyways, though, with those little mummified things, the stuff that I've seen from anthropologists as well as doctors, it's all been like, these bones wouldn't work. Like the skeletal system is not actually functioning for this imagined creature.
It's the reason why the Na'vi have human-like features, even though they're 9 feet tall, because Cameron, actually applied real biology to the design of all that shit.
And there will be that person that's like, but you don't know that, and I don't know that. That's where I'm like, you know what I mean? That's where I'm like,
trust the guy that went down to the Marianas Trench, you know what I mean? Like,
Jonesy says, please, there are no UFOs. Everything has a natural explanation. Stop thinking the authorities are hiding aliens under the White House, lights, sky, satellites from Starlink. Don't be fooled. And
there are UFOs.
Well, yeah, and Jonesy's right though. I mean, I don't agree with Jonesy's cynicism on the topic, but the thing about it is like, yes, every single time Starlink goes over, there are reports of people saying, I just saw a UFO, and they did. But Occam's razor says it's Starlink and it's not UFOs from another planet. When you see something in the sky, is it more likely to be a drone than a spaceship from the planet Zaxlon? Yeah, it's most likely going to be a drone. Like that's the kind of stuff that we need. But in terms of what's going on in the government right now, I think is 2 different things. The first is either there are UFOs, they're hiding it, they're not saving it, they want to use the technology for themselves to rule the world. I mean, essentially, as we've talked about on the show, if UFOs are real, the way that they use gravity to fall through space would mean that it would be akin to a time travel machine in certain ways, and that they would be experiencing time different than the rest of the people outside of the UFO. It would literally destroy
but it's a time
civilization.
Forward, not a time backwards.
Time forward, not backwards. They can go back in time with it as far as we would from in that concept. But it would mean that, like, if I could get into a UFO right now, I could go and I could kill all of the world leaders in 30 seconds. And cause chaos, and then out of the ashes
we got to find them first.
The Order of Ward, you know, like that kind of stuff, right? So anyways, that's like one take, but the other take is that they're using the UFOs to basically skim money off the top. Like Skinwalker Ranch is a grift through and through. They
100%.
use Skinwalker Ranch to take at least $20 million from the government, and just to pocket that money and to give themselves paychecks. And so if that's what's happening, either way, I feel like in terms of us living in a supposed democratic free society, where the government is us and works for us, we do need to get either at the core of, are they hiding UFOs, or are they simply using secrecy and top secret clearances and stuff like that to make money off those things need to be exposed, and those people need to be put in prison, like at the end of the day. So that's why I think even when this shit frustrates me, and I do think it is most likely just a grift on the government's part, and that maybe they don't know anything, I am like, well, it still needs to get dealt with, because the thing about the like United States is, you know, in terms of us as a military power, we're good. Everything else, you know, everything else is a bit on the overkill side, and it is about just making money for defense contractors, and that's what they've been doing, and I don't care if that stops for them, you know. but there are things that, you know, hey, maybe that was a UFO, maybe that was a spaceship, maybe the government does think that one time was a real time. And if it is, I want to know. But
yeah, but when there's real shit, they put a lot of effort in debunking it, Jason. And when there's the bullshit, they sit back there and let it fly with no questions unimpaired. And I've been living long enough to see it, and I've seen this shit with my own. Before there were drones and GPS, I saw this stuff. So I don't want to hear shit about it, you know? Like 10 years ago, it was all Chinese lanterns. No, those are Chinese lanterns. This other shit wasn't, you know?
Right.
Hey, by the way, Jason, what do you think? Do you think Spreezy's hair is more like John Travolta from the 1970s or Kurt Russell from the 1980s?
I'm going to say more like Neil in the 1990s.
Neil wasn't even born in the 1990s.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, like 1990.
Neil's in Return of the Jedi as a cum stain on the
Max Rebo hadn't dropped the load into Neil's mom yet.
We're an hour 22. I can make a rude comment like Stan has long since given up on the show.
You know, I say either open with them or close with them, Rob. Whichever, you know, whichever.
Close with them. Let's end the show. It's been too long.
Yeah. But anyways, so that's the Star Wars news.
Army hammers.
Army hammers, yeah. You can just eat it. Barbecue sauce. Yeah. No, and I mean, remember when they lost like a couple $2 billion? They just had no idea what happened to it, and that's where that $200 accounting comes in for those hammers. I don't believe for a second that they ever paid $200 for a hammer. That it was just a grid. I think it's just about how do you justify the money that you're spending and make it not
the money that you're spending with the current inventory you have on the books.
Mm-hmm.
You can't show the actual inventory.
Yeah. I'm of the hopeful cynic who believes UFOs are real, and that on all of the UFO videos I've ever seen, I've never actually seen one.
It's true. They don't look anything like those videos, Jason. That's why when we watch the videos, I'm always laughing. Like you know, this isn't it.
Well, it's like, you know, the people like Jeremy Corbell, like has done a good job at getting stuff released, but he knows those pyramids over that ship out over near San Diego. We know without a doubt that those are not UFOs, that it's the camera and that way that the lens works when filming those lights on the drones at night, and that they're not even triangle shaped. Yet he still goes around, and when they ask him about it, he's like, "Yeah, dude, shit's going down. We're getting invaded, bro." And at that point, that's I knew that was coming. I really did. I really just knew the personality and knew that that's where this was going.
But I told you I never liked any of these guys, you know. So that's why I say, like, I get. Jason was a believer. I'm like, you're going to go through this thing and then you're going to hate it and none of it's going to be, and you're going to go through these waves, Jason, because something real will happen. And that'll be the thing no one will fucking really want to talk about. That's when we're indicting Trump for an 800th time will happen that fucking day or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's like the Chicago O'Hare thing was a real event. nobody fucking wanted to talk about. No, Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street. Like that's like we're not having this conversation.
It's but to go back to your initial point, I for the most part, I tend to like people who are like ex-military and have come out with that cynicism from it. That seems to be where we kind of meet up. But in terms of like the people that are in the government that are like career military people, and those are the people who have to tell us if it's real. And I'm never going to like any of them.
I have a buddy of mine,
they're not my people.
Video game magazine with. He did 20 years in the Air Force PR and stuff, actually, Air Force PR, right? And we're good friends. But he started working like full-time military, like not the Pentagon stuff, but when you go to like a G status and you're working for the military.
Okay.
And then we just stopped talking. It just like there's something that happens to dudes when they go into that career military part. They become something and we just don't vibe. Like we don't vibe now. And I'm like, man, we were good friends. What happened? I'm like, oh, he got a career military job and he wants to tell me how the world fucking works, but like there's a really weird difference. I gotta tell you, man. Like it's happening right now in my own life. I'm like, did I lose a friend because he got a career military? Said, yeah, you did. It's not the actual military. It's just bureaucratic bullshit.
Yeah. You see that with like with CIA people as well. I mean, not like they're losing their friendship, but you see them like evolve in this like deep cynicism about the world because of the things that they are dealing with and that they are fighting and that they are experiencing reality in that way because of it. And is it justified or legit? I don't know. I mean, but I mean, we are relatively safe, but also, who knows? But yeah, Rick says UFOs are real. Most people don't ever look up. And that is true. And it's like, for instance, the guy I was talking about, Middle of Mayhem on Twitter, became acquainted with him because me and Penny, every time we go out on a walk, we always have a joke. Let's look for the UFOs. I always go, Penny, where's the UFO? Find it for me. Like something to do, something to make their little kid mind wander. And one day we do look up and we do see like what looks like, at first I thought it was like a bunch of balloons, but it wasn't balloons. And then it was like, and it moves and it's like a cylinder, and then it fucking goes, and then we just like lose track of it. Like it's like flying towards the sun for us, and we just can't see it in the sunbeams of the sky anymore. And I was like, wow. And then I go on Twitter to ask, did anybody see this? And then I see him saying, I see this thing hovering above me in a park. What the fuck? But anyways, he just did a video on it. And so that's how I know him on Twitter. And then he does a thing, and it's like, oh, there were fires in Los Angeles, and there were these weird fire drones, and they were out everywhere. And he's like, that looks like what I saw. And it's like, okay, there we go. That's probably what I saw too. You know what I mean? And so you can Occam's razor this stuff out of it being a spaceship. And it would be great if I saw a spaceship from another world. But at the same time, if I didn't, I didn't. You know what I mean? I just have to go, okay, yeah, that makes the most sense. And but that's the problem. And most of these people replace religion with the UFO thing too. I've noticed that. So it's like, if you imagine talking to one of your Christian
100%.
friends and telling them like, well, what if Jesus isn't real? And how they will react to that. That's how the UFO people react to, like, maybe that wasn't a UFO. Maybe Roswell wasn't real. Maybe Roswell was something, whatever happens to be. You can't even have the conversation because they are so devout. And that's what stops me from participating in the UFO community.
It goes more insidious. And I've been bringing this up to you since we started doing the UFO shows. Yeah. Amy Martin is a neuroscientist. She did the news for Art Bell when he had the Sirius show, right? She was like, she became Art Bell Jason in that way. And, she was doing her own thing called Midnight FM, which I really enjoyed for a while, but COVID, she stopped doing it.
Okay.
But she was researching guests she was going to have on, and then suddenly realized that guest she was going to have on about ancient aliens or some shit was a guy who was like convicted of child, sexual blah, 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 but was also go further. Dude's like Aryan race is the master race kind of guy. And then you start to do the math that a lot of this ancient aliens and hidden archaeology stuff is really code for white supremacy.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a whole insidious nature to this stuff, and if you go back and listen to those old Coast to Coast, you can get quite a bit of that if you know what they're talking about. Right.
Right.
And you've seen where these people have ended up. A lot of them have ended up since David Icke and all these guys. Right. Like, Yeah, so you don't get much more cynical than me over this, and I've never believed in Tic Tacs or rods or that bullshit. But I do know what I saw, and a few times, and the experiences I've had in my life, which I've shared on the UFO shows. And so the universe works in strange and weird ways, but it's not going to help you pay your taxes or put food on the table at the end of the day. None of this stuff.
Right.
And it's not going to get solved in our lifetimes, I feel. Not even with the singularity. They don't care about
the singularity.
Us,
I know, but it will solve it. We will die out. The ruling class will take over to win the
believe it in the singularity.
Oh, I believe in the singularity.
I don't buy it.
I think the singularity is inevitable.
Was it? They didn't say the other day ChatGPT is getting lazy, like it just doesn't want to do stuff. Like,
yeah, but that's ChatGPT.
Would it be great if we get a singularity and it just wants to play Lego Fortnite all day? It doesn't want to do anything.
For the record, I don't believe in any of this ChatGPT AI shit at all. I don't. I don't think that this is it at all. I think this is a choose your own adventure game that we're pretending is AI. It's not.
Yeah, it's Google. It's a less accurate Google search.
Yeah, and that is not the singularity to me. That is not a big stepping stone on the way to the singularity. I think it's just clearing out how not to do it, probably. But anyways, he said, Bumbo Jumbo Zell, is this a UFO show today? Well, it kind of became one, but Chris says, I just can't get over the Tic Tac. I just don't buy these pilots or all the recordings were a hoax. Well, see, the thing about it is you do have the Tic Tac video, and then you also have the Go Fast. The Go Fast, we now know, has actually been debunked that the item in the Go Fast video is only going 30 miles per hour, 30-ish miles per hour, something in that vicinity. And it was in effect. It was the effect of the jets against the item thing moving against the ocean. That has been Go Fast debunked. As far as I'm concerned, anyways. And on the actual Tic Tac video, the whole thing about it is on that one, I do believe that they think that was the case. I heard that guy on YouTube, Vosh. He's like, yeah, all of the pilots on that are doing that shit are always on cocaine. They're always methed out or whatever on amphetamines or some shit. Something like that on pilots. He's all, I don't know if I would trust what they say either. But the thing about it is that
not all pilots are on cocaine.
Most of them are though.
I've known a few of them. I wanted to be one as I met a lot. They weren't on cocaine. Dude.
Yeah, no, but
the helicopter guys in Vietnam were, because we go to the VA and their noses would be removed from all the cocaine they snorted in Vietnam.
The pilots who didn't see stuff are now saying that they saw stuff. Like everything is changing. The story is that's a problem. But the other thing is with the Tic Tac thing is the object is here, they lose sight of it, and then it's at their next place. Well, if they were balloons, maybe there were multiple balloons, which is that is the Occam's razor. There's multiple balloons and you're seeing a second one at your next place, and that's not the same one. It didn't fly there. You just found another one there. I think disprove that before it's a UFO. But I mean, there was a lot going for the Tic Tac videos with you, but all of it came together to form this story. And as that story was being told, Leslie Keene from the New York Times was one. And when you look at what she held back from her story, she held back the werewolves and the ghosts from Skinwalker Ranch in that story, because she knew that did not paint a realistic depiction of the thing. But that's bad reporting. I don't trust her as a reporter now for any of the stuff for that reason. Because I'm sorry, if you're telling me that there's UFOs, but then they're being piloted by Bigfoot, well, I'm not going to fucking believe you. And if you're going to hold back,
so bad.
Yeah, if
Harry
you're going to hold
and the
back,
Hendersons, but with a UFO, I'll watch that.
The invasion where they come back to get Harry, they fuck up.
I need that laugh when he flies over you.
With that, you ever see that big fucking dick that guy has? There's a couple shots where he has a big old dick.
Jason,
you can see it.
Jason, sometimes I put it on, it gets me. Let's go.
But yeah, anyways though, I'm not a UFO cynic, but I am cynical about the evidence that's being presented by the people who are usually presenting it. And that's
where look, this is what I kept telling my friend. He was an Elizondo guy. And I'm like, I don't trust any of these people. I don't like the fact that Ted Cruz or all these Marco Rubio and all these motherfuckers are involved in this shit. And Rob, and then now look where we're at. So we've been doing this quite a long time, Jason. Some of us, I got a little. I rarely pull in I got some miles under the belt here. Oh yeah, but I'm not getting more. What do you call that? Radicalized as the years go on. You got a good sense for what's bullshit, what's not bullshit. And we do a good job here on the show, I think, of keeping Star Wars fans in line with the reality of production. The realities of what's going to get done. It's the same crossover, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do the ESPN hot take on the sports idea with any of the stuff. Right. I was trying to be like, but let's ground this in reality and then figure out what's going to happen, because that's how it's going to work. Yeah.
Here's actual footage of the kid on a BMX being slung over, like that. Yeah. I don't know, Jason,
and
you think that footage will magically appear on the hot mic next week? I got some exclusive footage.
Okay. But
you think Campia.fartnet will have that? No. All right.
I don't know. It did hurt my feelings a little bit though when they wouldn't say, we'll put that
I knew it had to, which is why I spent.
Why would they do that?
To get them to say your name? I was like, I'm gonna get these motherfuckers to say. Jason Ward will be the first two words on that chat.
Thank you. But once again, it was like a weird one, because it's like, when I reported the story, I'm like, this is a plan. It's not the plan. Right. It's a plan. Option. Yeah. Yes, and this is something that they are weighing. And then all of the Twitter accounts said, Making Star Wars says Mandalorian's a movie, and and I'm like, no, that's literally not what I said, because if I would have been a bigger story. You know what I mean? Mandalorian is the next movie, is the big story.
Gee, Jason, you'd think with the unnecessary or necessary, however you want to word it, word counts you have to have in these posts for SEO bullshit, that they would just get the story right. You got the room now. It's not like bite-sized bits do better. You need to fill it up. So fill it up with the fucking truth, You
would think.
In the context.
Yeah. But once again, Lou from I think it's UCR is does a UFO show, and he had Elizondo go out on his fake account and say that he was a felon. So Elizondo was doing disinfo against people that just reporting on the UFO news
Elizondo said people were being racist against him for talking about UFOs. So, this fucking dude.
but it's like, but once again,
fucking Blue Lives Matter, motherfucker.
But that's the fucking problem though with the U.S. government. When that person does and I don't buy Grush. I think Grush is either very naive or being manipulated. And I think it's both, to be honest with you. I think he's naive. Grush is the UFO whistleblower.
That guy he brought up Waco when he was talking. So I'm like, okay, let's just chill on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I don't.
When you talk about UFOs and disclosure, and then you lead into Heaven's Gate, you got that's a bit of a jump,
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the whole thing is just, we are all humans. Just because we end up in a high position in a government or in science or in academia doesn't mean we're not batshit. I've known people in academia who are very well respected, and I know they're batshit. I know they're fucking loony as fuck, And so I don't know what to make about any of that. But my point I'm trying to make is, when that real person does come out someday, when the real whistleblower does come out, they're going to be just like Elizondo. And if they tell me the truth, great. And I'm probably not going to like them. You know what I mean? They're probably not going to be my guy.
I tell people the truth all the time and they hate me.
Hey.
Yeah. Did you know how hard it was to be on this show, Jason, after Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi? Right? You know what that was like?
Hey, just accept that those are TV shows, and then it all becomes a lot better. Like I said, I think everyone's treating the TV shows like they're the films, and
the oral knots helps. The oral knots helps.
Oral knots does help. Oral knots is a porno. Oral knots is a good YouTube show.
Oral knots. Oral knots. You know what? Fuck, I'm calling them oral knots. I think they'd appreciate it.
Hey, who everybody loves a little bit of oral. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it is good though. They do great work. But all right, guys, we did it. Say bye, Rob.
Bye, Rob.
Bye. All right, bye, Rob.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey, it's the end of the show. Come on, let's go. Hey, it's the end of the show. Come on, let's go. Hey, you know you should go. Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.